selection of sheep and goat for establishing breeder farm. Let's see what is selection and what is a breeder farm, or what is a breeder animal. Selection is basically the process of choosing certain animals to be the parents for future generation. Selection is nothing but choosing the best male and female animal to improve some phenotypic trait. And now what happens is, first you choose the best male and female animal in the herd, then you allow them to reproduce and to make the next offspring generation. Now what you expect out of selection is, as you are selecting the best male and female in the herd, the next generation of offspring will have a better performance for the traits for which you are selecting those animals. So likewise, your herd will be improvised by subsequent selection. By subsequent selection year after year, your herd will be improvised for that trait, for that specific trait for which you are doing the selection of male and female. First, we'll see what are the breeder animals. So breeder animals, firstly, they are definitely the animals which are capable to reproduce. They are the animals used for selective breeding and has the best genetics. Means in the herd, the animals which are having best genetic makeup for those traits you want to select, they are your breeder animals. Suppose you want to select the animals for meat purpose, for some meat trait, then the animals which are performing good in milk trait, they are not your breeder animal. They must be very good in the milk production trait, but you want to improve the meat trait, so you have to choose those animals, those male and female animals which are good at meat trait. So basically in selection, you have to choose firstly what are the traits for which you want to improve your herd. Then you have to choose those animals which are very good at it, those animals which are having the best genetic makeup. Then you are selecting the best male and female animals, you are crossing them, getting the next generation of offspring. And in this process, what your expectation is, your next generation of offspring are having better performance in respect of those traits. Now in a farm where you are keeping this best performing male and female animal, and you are producing the progeny so that you can distribute those progenies to other commercial other farms, by subsequent generation of selection, we are trying to improvise the trait for which our selection is done. Means there are some selection objectives at the first place, or breeding objectives, which are some traits which like milk trait, meat trait, which we want to improve. Now we will do subsequent generation of selection to improve generation by generation, that those traits will be improvised. So as a result, the genetic makeup of the whole herd will get improvised, will get better, and as a result, the profitability in the sheep and goat farm will also be increased. In a breeder farm, which are the stages where we can apply the selection decisions? Firstly, in a breeder farm, when you purchase some male animals, bucks or rams, when you purchase them, that is the time when you apply the knowledge of selection, animal genetics and breeding concept through selection. This is the first stage when you apply the concept of selection, like while purchasing bucks and rams. Then secondly, when you take a decision to retain or to cull the female animal from your farm, then you have to apply the basic of selection, basic of animal breeding. And lastly, when you purchase the replacements, when you purchase for replacing in your breeder farm, then also you have to apply the basic of selection. So these are the 3 steps where you have to apply the selection decisions, so that your herd will not be like stable in the in respect of performance, so that your herd will get improved generation after generation. Not only sheep and goat, you see the cattle, see the buffalo, everywhere they will talk about selection of the male animals. Why? Because if we select a female animal, definitely it will increase the productivity of the herd, definitely. But when you select a buck or a male animal, it will improve the genetic makeup of the whole herd in a total. Because a male animal, a buck, will contribute 60 to 100 kids per year, and a doe or female animal, they will contribute generally on average 6 to 12 kids. So who is contributing more? Definitely the male animal is contributing more to your herd. So that is the reason why we concentrate on the male selection at the first place. I'm not saying that we are not going to select the doe. We have to select the doe, we have to select the female animal for milk production, for meat as well, but our main focus will be, preference will be first the male animal, selection of the male animal. A male animal is more than half of the herd, so this is the importance to select the male animal. The selection tools in goat and sheep are, you can say, almost same. So that's why I'm referring the example of goat, but you keep in mind that the same concept will be applied in sheep as well. Now, what are the selection tools that you are going to apply to get a successful selection to improve your herd? So there are basically three major selection tools which you are going to apply. So the three main tools are, firstly, visual selection, then raw data, then estimated breeding value. You can combine all these three tools together to improvise your herd. Now, here I want to mention the visual selection. Visual selection is very, very, very important for field condition. Why? If you see the Indian condition, the farmers, the laymen, if you ask them how you are going to select an animal, firstly they will see the look wise, means the external appearance. External, if you say them select the animal for milk, they will see the udder, they will see the teeth. If you ask them see the select the animal for meat, they will see the body conformation, how long, how deep, how is the width, how is the length, all that. So visual selection is very important, not only for the laymen, for the farmers. It is also important for the breeder farm, for the even the research institutes. All of them, visual selection is very important. One more reason is, all in visual selection, mainly we focus the body conformation traits. Body conformation traits are, most of the body conformation traits are having low to medium heritability. Because the body conformation traits are having low to medium heritability, what happens is the best animal, the animal which is showing the best body conformation traits in your herd, if you select it as male or female animal, most maximum chance is there that the next generation of offspring will also perform very well, because heritability is very high. Just a few words about heritability. Like heritability indicates, in a simple word, heritability indicates the genetic component of the phenotypic trait, means how much of the trait is actually transmitted to the progeny. That is the heritability component. If heritability is medium to low to medium, means most part of your phenotype is getting transmitted to the progeny. Okay, that is enough for selection in a breeder farm. So that's why we used to give so much importance for visual selection. First thing is because it is easy, visual selection, like it is easy for the farmer, for the breeder farm. And next, All the traits that we use for visual selection, they are having low to medium heritability. So if you select a animal based on visual traits, wholly based on observation, the chance is that the next generation of the animal will be mostly will show the improved traits. Now next is raw data. Raw data is also very important because there are some milk production trait, meat traits whose data you can either measure or either record or either you can generate the raw data of the milk and meat trait, wool trait, all that. So by using this raw data, you can select the animal and see. If you select the animal only based on raw data, you will not be successful in selection. Definitely, you have to combine either the visual selection plus raw data, or raw data. If you are using only the raw data, you have to correct the data for some environmental factors, which we are going to discuss in later parts. This is just the introduction. Now next is estimated breeding value. Estimated breeding value is very important for the research purpose. Why I'm saying this? Estimated breeding value is the most correct one, most correct tool of selection among these three. But what happen is calculation of estimating breeding value is little complex for the breeder farm, for the farmers, for the field veterinarians. Why? Because the formula of estimated breeding value ask for heritability of the trait first. Means heritability of the trait you have to know first. You have to calculate heritability of all the traits you want to improve. Then you need a large number of data. So though it is very accurate estimated breeding value, we used to focus on visual selection and raw data for the breeder farm and for the field level, like veterinarians and all. Now the best way is we should combine the available information, say it the visual data, say it the raw data. We should combine. That is the best way out to select the best male and female animal in your breeder farm. Now before going into selection, you have to first choose the breeding objective. That is whether you want to select the animal for meat, milk, or fiber peltanol. Now if you see in Indian condition last 10-year data, the meat demand of the meat is going very high. If you see, if you just go to the market, see the cost of mutton chevron, their cost is like going high. It is almost touching the sky day by day. So we should focus on the meat trait, like how to improve the meat animals, and nonetheless is milk. Means the goat milk, especially the goat milk, the nutritious value and the therapeutic value of the goat milk is people are getting to know day by day. The cheese of the goat milk, and there are so many things to say about goat milk, which is getting popularized day by day. So we have to also consider how to select the animal for meat and milk. Fiber peltanol, this is like not much in India. As per my little knowledge, we don't use so much of selection for fiber peltanol. So we will focus on firstly milk and meat selection. Visual selection, as I told, why we prefer visual selection is it is very quick, it is efficient, it is cost effective. Okay, visual selection can utilize particularly for traits that raw data or estimated breeding values are not available. When you are doing selection for a farm where you have purchased all the animals. Okay, so you don't have any previous data along with you now, but you want to select your animal. You have to select what you'll do. You can go for visual selection of the animals. So that is the best way out. Then it is important to remember that what a goat looks like is not necessary what they will pass on through their genes to the progeny. Now what we want to say is, suppose you are selecting one animal visually by observing the best traits. Now don't expect that whole of these good traits will go as such to the progeny. It is not like that, because in the beginning I told you about heritability. It is the genetic component of the phenotype. So only this genetic component of the phenotype will pass on to the progeny, because P phenotype is equal to genes plus the environment. Phenotype, what you see outside, it is not only the genes that is causing that better phenotype. It is also the environment which has a great impact on the performance of the animal. So don't expect that if the animal is showing good visual trait, then the next generation will be same as the parent or will be better as the parent. So you have to control the environmental variations. Now, these are the environmental factors which affect the genetic part, like the birth type, either it is single or twin, then the age of their dam, then the season the goat was born in, and whether they have supplementary feed or what kind of feed they are having. Based on this environmental factors, the genes, the genetic part of the animal, it is getting kind of modified, you can say. I'm just using very simplistic way of explaining the breeding part. Okay, heritability, this is the simplest way possible. Means these environmental factors can affect the genetic part. That's why we are saying that the phenotype is not getting wholly transferred to the next generation. So you have to take care of these environmental factors like birth type, age of the dam, season, supplementary feed, etc. Okay, now we are going to see in detail how we are doing the visual selection for male first, then for female. But before going, as I told you that visual selection is wholly based on the body conformation trait, right? So here are the body conformation trait, a little brush up about the body parts of the doe and the you all know this body parts, so I'm not going into detail. This is just a little brush up. Now, for selecting a buck, as I told you that buck selection is more important than a ewe, because the contribution of buck is much more higher than the female. So how you basically, when we select a good hard buck, we should select it based on the structural and the breeding soundness. Means how is the body structure of the male. One thing you remember, I'm saying buck, but don't forget the ram as well. Okay, the same concept applied on the ram as well. The concept applied on doe, it is applied on the ewe. For selecting the buck, firstly we'll see the body conformation trait, means how is the structure of the body. Then we'll see the breeding soundness, and to see that, firstly we will see the masculinity and the adequate, how is the masculinity of the male animal. Then we'll see what is whether there is adequate muscling of the animal or not. Then we will see how is the conformation of the head and neck. And then for seeing the breeding soundness, we will also see, we will have a check on whether the vocalization of the buck is standard or not. Now, there is another important trait. In the previous slide, we were talking about the muscling and the vocalization of the buck, all that. But there is one important thing to select is this scrotum. This testicles, symmetrical testicle in the scrotal sac is very important. And if you search little bit in the Google, you will see there are so many papers saying that if there is asymmetrical testicles, it will lead to asymmetrical udders in the progeny. So while selecting the male, we have to see whether the testicles are symmetrical or not. Then you have to see where the consistency, there should be a firm consistency in the testicle, elasticity should be there. There should be good mobility in the scrotal sac, and the testicle should be of oval shape. And one more very important thing is, in general, if you see the scrotal circumference should be 24 to 25 centimeter in average. And why we are seeing so many parameters about the scrotum, about the testicle is, The testicular size is positively correlated to daily sperm production and output. Okay, there is a positive correlation. That's why we focus about testicular size, because the sperm production and output is positively correlated to testicular size. The next step in bug selection is mouth part of the bug. You have to see nicely. There should not be undershot or overshot jaw. Why? If there is a undershot and overshot jaw, you can see in this picture, you can see the mouth in that black color. You can see it is having the jaw shape. You can see there is undershot and overshot jaw. We are showing in the diagram. It should not be there while selection, because these traits, they are having medium heritability reported in the research articles. So if there is medium heritability, means there is high chance that your progeny also it will have this kind of jaw, which is not good at all. You understand that. Now one more thing you have to see, that good feet, the buck should be good, the buck should have good feet and legs. Why? If it is not having a good feet and leg, then the mounting will be difficult. So a buck must have dominant and display mating behavior, including good libido, for which you need a good feet and leg. And avoid buck with feet problem, laminitis, arthritis, all those you should avoid it, which causes pain, reduces libido, and prevents copulation. Yeah, basically what you can say is, for mounting, good feet and legs is necessary. And this trait, these are the body conformation trait, which are having low to medium. Somewhere, in some research paper, they directly say that these body conformation traits, they have medium heritability. Some reports low to medium heritability. Means low to medium heritability means most of its visual observation will directly pass on to the next generation progeny. So you have to take care. Now here you can see the front legs, how the front leg of the buck it should be. If you see the front leg from the front side in the first part of the diagram, these are the three leg pattern. The third is the normal. You see, you compare the knock-kneed, splay-footed, and the normal legs, normal front leg of the animal. You should select a animal which have normal front legs. This is the front view, but the same fit, when you see a side view, it looks like this: buck kneed, calf kneed, and normal. Definitely you are going to select the normal one. You can compare how the buck kneed look like, how the calf kneed look like. Next is the same thing in rear leg. In rear leg, if you see, you compare this. The first part is the rear leg from the back side view. Okay, if you see from the back side, the rear leg, which is having this cow hocked. First is cow hocked, then bow legged, then next is normal. Normal, you can compare, you can appreciate this change of the structure of the leg. And definitely we are going to select the animal which are having normal rear legs. And if you see this rear leg from the side view, you can compare the sickle hocked and the post legged. These are the little bit abnormal condition. You can compare them with the normal one, and definitely you have to select the normal. You have to select the animal with normal rear legs. And why we are focusing so much about this rear leg and front leg is, I told you, it is important for the libido and the mounting. Next, we are going to see the doe selection. This was a brief about the general buck selection. Means whenever in a breeder farm, what you are doing, you are keeping the best male and best female to get the next best generation of offspring, and you are going to distribute them to the farmers, to other breeder farms for commercial purpose, etc. So you have to keep always the good buck and good doe in your farm. So this all whatever we have discussed till now was about how to select a good buck, the best buck, on which basis you are going to select the good buck in your farm. We have discussed that. Now we will see how you are going to select a doe in a best doe in your farm. So remember the doe selection, all the parameters you can apply the same thing in ewe selection also. Now in doe selection is mainly about the dairy traits. Okay, so first of all, your doe, when you see from the sideways, it should have triangular shape in the neck, in the thigh, the forearm also. It should be like triangular shape. In the barrel, this barrel, they used to say, it should also have a triangular shape. Okay, this is the indication of good dairy animal. Okay, now if you see a meat animal, a good meat animal will have rectangular shape in the neck, in the this arm, forearm, thigh, all that, they and the barrel also, it will have a rectangular shape. You can see this triangular and rectangular shape from the top view as well. From the top view, if you see the barrel part in the milk animal, it will have this triangular pattern. The animal which are not showing the triangular, they will not be the best dough for your herd. This is the same thing. It is how it is showing the triangular. Now the dairiness, the trait dairiness is very important. Dairiness is about how you see a dough based on dairiness, like how good is the dough for you. For dairiness is based on the length, cleanliness, and flatness of the shoulder bone, then the length and the leanness of the neck, definition and sharpness of the wither, degree of fleshing, femininity and refinement, then fineness and texture of the skin. See, it will be clear if you see the third animal. If you compare in this diagram, just compare the third animal and the first animal. If you see the third animal, shape of the bones, they are quite like sharp, angular, and the flat bone. You can palpate the bone from outside. You can find out what is the like shape, how the angularity, it is visible from the outside. If you compare the first animal, the first animal is extremely thick, coarse, and round bones. You can see, you cannot palpate the bones clearly. Dough for dairiness will be the one which has sharp bone edges. You can palpate the bones nicely. The bones are flat, they are angular. Okay, but if this kind of animal is not there, you can go on with this intermediate animal, which is in between, intermediate in angularity and flatness, the middle one. Okay, you can go with the middle one. Next is ramp angle. Why this ramp angle is firstly so important? A good ramp angle will give you ease in feeding, then the drainage of the reproductive trait will be good, and length of the udder from fore to rear will be good, and the strength of foreudder attachment depends on the ramp angle, and the udder depth also depends on the ramp angle. Here, if you see the animal which is having zero angle, see, it is almost like ramp angle is almost straight. That is the best animal here. And compare it with the first animal, which is forming a 45-degree ramp angle. So the animal which is forming a steep angle, hips to pins, from the hips to pins, if it is like steep angle is there, that is not recommended at all for dairiness. For milk animal, if you are selecting the animal for milk, don't select the animal with steep ramp angle. Always go for either zero. If it is not available, go for the 25-degree angle, like little lesser. Why? If it is going upwards, the ramp angle means, if it is forming lesser angle, then uh, it can hold the udder in a proper way. The udder depth will be more, and then the kidding will be easy. Okay, so ramp angle is very important. This is the ramp angle. If you see from the sidewise, in the first animal, you see from the side only, it forms a straight line. It forms a straight line, means the angle is lesser, so it can hold the udder easily upwards, and kidding will be easier. And the next is, it is making a steep angle, which is not recommended. Next will be this ramp width. Width of the ramp should always be more. More width of the ramp is related to better body width as well as better udder. Kidding will be easier. Why? You see, if the ramp width is more, means the udder width will also be more, and if the ramp width will be more, the animal can easily give birth to the twins, to the triplets. It will not be, complications will be lesser. And if the ramp width is more, then the general body width throughout will also be more. Just a easy, like common sense, if you see the ramp width more, means body width will also be more. Okay, so it is a very important trait. See, this is again the ramp width, how you see in the animal. If you go to the back side of the animal, the back view, compare the first and second one. The first one is having good ramp width, second is not having good ramp width. So what happened? The animal which is not having good ramp width, the udder is bulging backwards and it is coming down. It is coming down. It is not tight, at the attachment of the udder is not there. So in a result, there is more chance of udder related infection and diseases. It is very difficult for kidding triplets, twins as well. Then there is rear leg. There is some confusion about rear leg. Is in the research paper, you will see the more extremely angular or sickle shaped rear leg is very good for milk animal, they say. But for the meat animal, the intermediate angle of the hock is good. In the research paper, they say. But or the straight rear leg are not recommended. I mean, the first one, which is showing straight rear leg, it is not at all recommended. Intermediate angle of the hock is recommended for meat animal. Extremely angled or sickle angled rear leg is recommended for milk animals. So what we recommend is go for the intermediate angle hock, so that you will be in a safer side. So this trait relates to the durability of the legs and feet, and it as reflected by the degree of the angle of the hock. Okay, so rear leg should be intermediate angle to hock. If you see the rear leg from the back and side, you see this. If it is forming this kind of angle with the pin bone to the hock, then you can select the animal. But if it is not showing, the second animal, it is not showing that steep angle. If you draw a line from the pin bone to the hock, it is showing just a round curve. It is not showing any angle. So this kind of animal should not be selected. Next is the this rear leg. See from the back side, rear leg which is recommended, they will form a straight line. You can draw a straight line through the rear leg from the back side. But the animal where the rear leg is towards outside, that is called splay foot condition. In the first slide we were showing this. This kind of animal is not recommended, where if you have to draw one straight line from the back and your leg should come almost in the straight line. Okay, your the rear leg should not go out towards the outside. Okay, four udder attachment. Four udder attachment, see, it is the strength of the attachment of the lateral ligament. So as strong is the four udder attachment, it will be good. The udder position, udder shape will be good. There should be a smooth attachment of the body wall and the udder walls. Means if the udder is loose, if the udder is having a loose attachment in the first animal, there will be a angle, like more steep angle formed. But if the udder is having a tight attachment, if the udder is attached tightly with the body walls, then the angle will be lesser. See, in the first one, there is more, the angle is more. In the second one, the angle is lesser, and the third one, which is extremely strong, in that case udder is almost forming like you can say it is almost a straight line, or very less angle it is formed. Means when the udder is tightly attached, the lateral ligaments are tightly attached to the body walls. This you have to see. This trait is not only important in sheep and goat, also important in cattle. So this one, four-udder attachment, is very important trait. You have to see from the side, the angle should be lesser. Okay, if not the extremely strong, you can go for the intermediate one, not the one which is forming steep angle. So this is the same udder attachment. Udder attachment from the sidewise. See the first one. It is you can write a line. You can form a line in the attachment area. There is no any steep angle. But the next animal, when you are drawing a line, it is forming a clear angle. The angle between the body wall and the udder floor. There is an angle. This is not at all recommended. Now this is rear udder attachment. Rear udder attachment is also important. It affects the udder capacity and of the udder's ability to hold its shape and position through repeated lactations. The extremely high rear udder attachment is recommended, means as high as like possible. So see, while seeing one trait, here I want to mention, like you cannot select the animal for meat or milk based on one visual trait. Okay, always one trait is related to other. You have to first list down all the important traits, then you have to select the animal. If one animal is intermediate in udder attachment, if the rear udder attachment is intermediate in height, then, and the same animal, if it is having a strong attachment, strong four-udder attachment, then that animal should be selected. Likewise, means you have to make a balance in between the trait. What you can select is still intermediate, you can allow. Don't allow always in all the pictures the first animal is the one which we cannot accept. Okay, I have kept like this. The first picture will be the one which we cannot accept. The next is the intermediate one, and the last one we should go for it. Okay, so the rear udder attachment should be extremely high, intermediate high you can see, and you can compare the extremely low, where the extremely low rear udder attachment will form a angle kind of thing in the rear view. Yeah, next is rear udder arch. Rear udder should be extremely wide, and curving should be there. Curving should be there, and the udder should be wide. If you see the first picture, there is narrow and pointed. The rear udder arch is narrow and pointed, which is not at all recommended. The rear udder should either form in the middle picture, it is forming one arch, or either in the last one it is like extremely carved and wide, which is highly recommended. Consider both width and shape of the attachment of the rear udder. Okay, you should consider both the width and the shape of the attachment of rear udder. See the rear udder arch, if you see from the back side, the one which is having the first one, it is having wide and carving is there. The second one, it is forming one steep arch, which is not at all recommended. Next is median suspensory ligament. Median suspensory ligament is nothing but, you see the udder cleft. Udder cleft we used to say, no, udder cleft should be as deep as possible. Actually, how it is measured is, you first you find out the base of the teeth. Base of the teeth, you draw a line, a straight line in the base of the teeth. From there, you take the measurement from there till the cleft, the point where left and right udder is separated. You see the last picture, there you can see a deep cleft. So the point where the left and right udder is separated, from that point to the level where the base of the teeth is there, that will be your udder cleft. So this udder cleft is as deep as possible, because if udder cleft is deep, then only separation of the left and right udder quarters will be more, and all other traits, you know. A strong medial suspensory ligament affects a goat's production potential by keeping the teats in place and udder elevated, reducing the potential for injury. So the first picture is showing bulging udder floor, which is not recommended, and the second is intermediate udder cleft, which you can select, and the last is extremely deep cleft, which is highly recommended. Here in the first picture, you see the udder cleft. Extremely deep udder cleft will form this kind of this kind of heart-shaped pattern if you see from the back. Uh, and the one which is not having a good suspensory ligament, that is having no separation in between the left and right quarter of the udder. This is not recommended. Next is udder depth. The udder depth is actually measured in relative to the hocks. Relative to the hocks means the udder floor, the base of the teeth. You have to see the base of the teeth. That is the last part of the udder considered. That part should be above the hock joint always. The udder floor should not be in the level of the hock joint, or it should be below the stifle joint, and it should be in the level of the thigh always. And the udder floor should be well, if it is below the hock, that there is chance of injury of the udder, and mastitic infection chances will be more. So the udder floor should be at least above, either it should be above the hock in the middle picture, or it should be in the level of the thigh, below the stipple and in the level of the thigh. Next, you see the teeth placement. Teeth placement should be intermediate. Okay, here you should go with the middle picture, which is saying the intermediate placement. Means the teeth backside view, there should not be extremely wide placement of the teeth. It should not be there, or neither your teeth should be very close to one another, because there will, if they're very close to one another, there will be chance of injury while milking. If they are far from one another, there will be chance of injury while movement of the leg. So it should be in the intermediate placement of the teeth should be there. This is the same picture of teeth placement. If you see, if you draw one line in between quarters, in the left quarter and right quarter, you draw one line. That line should go in between the teeth. So the first one is recommended. The second one, where the teeth are placed very wide apart, which is not recommended. Next is the teeth diameter. In the teeth diameter, intermediate diameter is again recommended. Okay, intermediate diameter is recommended because of the ease of milking and less injury for all those. You see the rear udder, the shape of the rear udder from the teeth to the rear udder attachment is an indication of the capacity of the rear udder for milk. Means in the first picture you see, you cannot see the udder beyond the body of the animal. Means you see the behind the body, behind the rear leg, there is no part of the rear udder visible. This is not at all recommended. And the middle one is recommended here. The intermediate in fullness means your rear udder, little part of this rear udder should be visible in the back side of the rear leg. And if in the third picture, most part of the rear udder is visible in the back side of the rear leg, which is not at all recommended. Means some part of the udder should be in the front side of the rear udder, and some part should be in the back side. So that is the proper rear udder structure you should see from the sidewise. Okay, the most part of the rear udder should not be in the back side of the rear leg as well. The next important trait is this udder balance. So if we form one circle by keeping the rear leg in center, for finding whether your animal is having good udder balance or symmetry or not, we will form one circle keeping the rear leg in center. In this case, if your rear leg is in center, some part of the udder should be in the front and some part will be in the back side, means other side. They should be symmetrically distributed. You can see this symmetry of udder balance in the middle picture. In the front picture, you see most of the part of udder is in the front side of the rear leg, which is not recommended. In the third picture, you see most part of the rear udder is in the back side of the rear leg, which is again not recommended. Okay. So this udder balance and the rear udder, these two traits are related. You can measure them together. This is very important trait. If rear udder is mostly in the back side of the rear leg, then there is very much high chance of injury of the animal. Till now we have discussed how to select the female sheep and goat, doe and ewe, how to select them based on the milk production traits visually, means how to select visually the animals for milk production, the female animal for milk production, that we have seen. Okay, now we will discuss about how to select the animals specifically for meat. How to select specifically for meat. In this regard, first we will see evaluating degree of muscling for meat. So definitely in this aspect, there will be stages for selecting the animal for meat purpose. Firstly, you select the best buck and best doe based on all the visual trait we have discussed so far. These traits that we are going to discuss now, they will be just cherry on the cake kind of thing, means they will be just in addition. You can add all these traits specifically for meat purpose. Okay, now the first thing is evaluating degree of muscling for meat, means the first thing is thickness through the center of the leg. Next is width between the rear feet when the goat stands and walks, and the next is width, depth and length of the loin. And see here, the first picture says the center leg width. The first animal which is having wide and thick muscled. See, when the animal is having wide and thick muscle legs, then the width between the leg, means see the arrow in the ground, the width between the leg will be automatically more. If the thick muscle legs are there, then the width of between the leg will be more. The reverse will be there. In the second animal, you see the legs are not thick muscle, narrow and thin muscle legs are there, so the width between the leg is also small. Likewise, you can compare the thick, average and thin muscle legs animal. So whenever you go for selecting one animal in the breeder farm for meat, first you see this, the leg should be thick muscle and the width between the legs should be more when they walk. First you have to see the width when they walk as well as when they stand, in both the position. In both the position you have to see. Then the width of the loin area, see the compare the wide and flat over top. If you see the top of the animal, it should be flat. Then another animal which is having narrow slip over top, it is making one angle, that is not at all recommended for selection. And the length of the loin, if you see, the hind schedule and the front schedule should be of equal length. These three things, center leg width of the loin and the length of the loin, is very very important for selecting the animal for meat. Next, for evaluating the soundness and structure of the animal. When you select the animal for meat, you have to see the soundness and structural correctness. How is the body structure of the meat animal? how sound is the body, and that is again depend on the feet and toes, knees, hocks, pastern, and levelness of the top. Always select the animal with even toes. Then feet turned out, uneven toes should not be recommended. Then if you see the pastern, the strong pastern, it should be little bit straight, strong, and the weak pastern should not be recommended. Then the knees, if you see, it should be a straight line. A straight line indicates the strong knees. There should not be buck knee, means little this curving should not be there. Hawk, if you see it, there should be this much angle, like we are showing. Little bit of angle should be the curve, you can say little curve in the hawk. And the other animal, it is forming one steep angle, that indicate too much set to hawk, that is not recommended. Then levelness of the top, if you see the from the side, if you see the top of the animal, it should give you one straight line, that is recommended. Okay, and the top, it is if it is forming this kind of curve, it is not recommended at all, it is called weak top. Some important points, some unique characteristic of meat goats. This all of us we know, goat deposit fat from inside to outside, and there is no intramuscular fat. And here one important thing we have to remember, very important thing for selecting meat goat is, your animal should be lean and trim but with bloom. Your meat animal should be lean and trim, but it should not be unthrifty or weak. Compare the first animal and the second. The first animal is also lean and trim, but it looks unthrifty or weak. Unthrifty means weak. The second animal, see, it is lean with bloom. So it should look healthy, it should look sound. In the meat animal, we have to evaluate the capacity or volume of the body of the animal. Capacity and the volume is directly proportional to how much will be the quantity of meat, like easily, in easy words if we say. So how you will evaluate the capacity and the volume of the animal, that depends on body width, depth, and length. And how you measure them, if you see the first animal, body width, the first animal in this body width is the narrow with flat ribbed. For knowing the body width, you see the rib portion. If the ribs are looking wide based or open ribbed, means there will be protrusion will be there. If you see from the back side, there will be protrusion in the rib area, rib cages. That animal which is having protrusion or wide based ribbed, that is selected. The one which is having flat ribbed from the side, if it is having flat ribbed, you should not select them. Then the body depth, you can see these two animals, one is having shallow bodied, another is having deep bodied. Deep bodied, see there are two arrows starting from the top to bottom. The deep bodied animal is recommended. Next is body length, short bodied and long bodied, always long bodied animal are recommended. So here we are discussing the visual traits for the meat production. So till now what we have discussed is the how you are doing visual selection of the buck and the doe based on milk production and based on meat production. Okay, this is how you are selecting all the traits. We have discussed all the trait which is important for milk, which are important for meat, how you are which all animals are recommended in the visual selection by just observing the phenotypic characters, phenotypic traits. Now we will see how we can use the raw data along with the visual traits, which will improvise your selection. The use of raw data can improve the accuracy of selection and breeding decision in comparison to visual selection for this trait. See, if you select the animal only based on visual observation, then your eye might be sometime deceiving. There will be some error. Whatever trait is there related to milk production and meat, you collect the raw data of that and you include it with the visual selection. But this raw data is also a combination of the genetic and the environmental component, right? Recording the milk yield of the goat for 150 days. Now, this milk yield is not only because of the goat's genetic part, management, the feed, the medicines you have provided to the goat, they also have a role in this high milk yield of goat. So now you have to balance this environmental variations. If we see in a easy way, uh, while using this raw data for selection, first you have to take care of the environmental variation. Then only your raw data will serve the purpose of selection. If you use the raw data as such without balancing the environmental factors, then your data will be biased, because you have selected the milk production trait in your farm where the managemental condition is very good. Now based on these traits, you have uh, selected the animal and you have sold out to another farm, but in that farm the managemental condition is not so good, so there will be a biasness, right? So before taking the conclusion based on raw data, you have to remove this environmental variation. Just to reduce the environmental variation, what we'll do is we will select all the animals from the same farm, so that when we select the animal raised in the same farm or same group, what will happen is their managemental condition is same. So in the same environment, which animal is performing good, means which animal is giving you good milk production, that animal you select. Like, try to avoid selection of animals from different farms and keep in one place. Okay, you always try to select the animals which are raised in the same group. A group of well-grown goats. Okay, well-grown goats should be selected compared to the newborn one. Why? In the beginning of the slides, we have discussed this environmental effect, birth type, age of the dam, and season of kidding, and number of kids raised. We told that these traits has some effect on the visual trait as well as the raw data. These are the environmental effect because of which the raw data is biased. Now, these traits, birth type, age of the dam, and season of kidding, they have most effect on the young age goat. But when the goat is well grown, then the effect is reduced. A group of well grown goats will exhibit greater variation and facilitate better selection decision, and they are also less affected by this trait. What we have to do to reduce the effect of environmental variation is try to select the animal from the same farm, so that the managemental condition we can expect that it will be same. And not only the managemental condition, the environment, the season, and all this thing, the climate and everything will be same. And we should go for the well grown goats. We should avoid selecting the young goats in the breeder farm. Which are the traits whose raw data we can record for selection? The first is birth weight. Birth weight is very important. You know how to measure the birth weight, but birth weight is having low heritability. Though it is having low heritability, but since it is very important, you should include it. Then next is weaning weight. Weaning weight is measured in 90 days of age. Then weight at market age. Most of the time, ninth month weight is considered as the market weight. And the growth rate you can generate the growth rate by using daily weight gain in grams from the date of birth to the date of weaning. Then this growth rate is very important for especially for the meat producing animals. So you can see this age at first kidding or lambing. Age of the doe in the days at the time of first kidding is also very important. And the lactation milk yield and 150 days lactation milk yield. These traits are very important. Here, some farms, when you purchase the animal, in the field condition, you don't have the record of whole lactation milk yield. In that condition, what you'll do? What you'll do is you ask for the peak yield. Once you get the peak yield value, you just multiply it with 90, digit 90. When you multiply it with digit 90, then whatever value you are getting, you can consider that value roughly you can consider that value as the lactation milk yield of goat. If the whole lactation milk yield is not there, 150-day lactation milk yield also you can use. And then lactation length is also another important trait. Next is kidding or lambing interval. If there is more than one kidding, then you have to measure the number of days from one kidding to the next kidding. That interval is also important trait. And the next is incidence of multiple births. If there is multiple birth record of the doe, then you have to count how many multiple birth it has given, whether it is twins, triplets, or quadruplets. And this combination of these two traits is very important for judging the prolificacy of the animal. Prolificacy is a trait which include both regularity of lambing, kidding, and the frequency of twin. Based on this data, you can select your animal. Not only that data, remember that you have to for more accuracy of selection, always you have to include visual selection plus raw data. And while taking the raw data, you remember to remove or reduce the environmental variations. Now if there is information of the pedigree, means pedigree information means the grandparents, parents data. If these pedigree informations are available in your farm, then suppose you are selecting the animal for milk trait, then you take the pedigree informations if it is available. What it will help is, it will help you to select the animal in the early stage, even before they reach the age where they can express their performance. Okay, if the animal is very like very younger in age, it is not giving milk, but based on the milk production traits of the grandfather, father, you can select the animal. And in some cases, when you want to select the animal for sex limited trait, like if you want to select one buck, one male animal for milk production, what you will do? You want to select one male animal for milk production, what you will do? You cannot get the milk data from the male animal, right? So in that condition, you will record the milk production of the uh, female pedigrees available in the farm, or the female relatives, or the female progenies. Based on their milk production data, you can select that buck for good milk production. When you don't have pedigree information, then you can select either the progenies or the relatives. But one important thing I want to mention is the progeny information is the most accurate basis of selection among all this means compared to the pedigree, relatives, uh, and the families. Progeny is the most accurate way. Okay, because the individual you are selecting, it is directly transmitting its genes to the progeny. So if you take the progeny information, if you have the progeny information of the buck or doe, then based on their information, if you select that buck or doe, then it will give you more accuracy. And when specifically when you want to select for some sex limited traits like milk production, and if you want to select for some traits like which are expressed after slaughter, after the lifetime of the animal. So if you want to select the animal for carcass characteristic, you have to slaughter the animal, right? So after slaughtering, there is no use of selection. So in that case, you slaughter its progenies, or you record the pedigree information. If you have the progenies, you take the information of the carcass characteristics of the progeny, and based on that progeny trait, you can select the buck, that specific buck or doe. Next is the information of the relatives. Okay, information of the relatives means mostly we prefer the full sheep information, because in full sheep they have common father and mother, like right. In half sheep they have one parent in common, either the dam or the sire, father or the mother. So if you have the relatives information like full sheep or half sheep, so based on their information also you can select the animal for the sex limited trait or for the carcass traits, like that. If you are including more basis of selection, then accuracy will be more, right? So if you have three of the bases, progeny and family and the pedigree, then it is better to include all of the information together. And if you don't have, you can go for whatever like option is there. Okay, but the easiest option will be pedigree in like organized farm, but in field condition relatives information will be very easy, I guess. Now the last is the estimated breeding value. So estimated breeding value, as I told, it is the most accurate way of selection, as it estimates an animal's genetic merit for each trait correctly. Breeding value can be estimated. This estimated breeding value can be calculated based on the animal's own records and the performance of known relatives. And this estimated breeding values divided by 2 may be used to predict the performance of future offspring. That is called a predicted transmitting ability, PTA. And this estimated breeding value is mostly used in organized and research farm. This is what it is written. Now, what I want to say about estimated breeding value is, see, 3 things. First is, no doubt, estimated breeding value is the best way. If you are using estimated breeding value, then no need of visual selection and raw data. But why it is complex is, in estimated breeding value, first thing, you need a large data. Large data means you need if you want to select a buck, you have like hundreds of bucks data. Only single data is not enough. Second thing, you need a repeated measurement of the same trait. Like, one lactation milk yield is not enough for finding estimated breeding value. You need repetitive measurement of the lactation milk yield. How you will get repetitive measurement? You need the first lactation, second, third, likewise. Okay, at least the third 3 lactation milk yield, and that too in a large number of animals. So large number of animal you need, and repetitive measurement of the same trait in the animal, that is also needed. And on top of that, you need to estimate heritability of the trait. So, and heritability, repeatability, all that data, large herd size, repetitive measurement, and after getting all the data, you need one software that is called ASREML. Okay, ASREML. That is, there are so many softwares. I'm mentioning about one. They all, using all that softwares, you are estimating this EVV, or estimated breeding value. At last, what we can conclude is, best method of selection of breeding animal is no doubt the estimated breeding value. But whenever estimated breeding value is not available, we can use the visual selection and the available raw data. We can combine them. And the third thing is, raw data of the pedigree, relatives, and the progenies may be utilized. Don't confuse in this point. See, whenever we are selecting raw data for some trait, there are so many milk and meat traits, right, in the farm. So whatever trait you can record, you can generate, you can collect from your farm, your field, you just record them. Along with that, you see that whether the trait record is there for the pedigree of the animal, whether that trait record is available for the relatives of the animal and the progenies of the animal. If the same raw data is available for the pedigree, relative, and the progenies, you include that data along with the individual's data. individual raw data you are recording. Along with that, if you have the pedigree, relative, and the progenies, include them as well. And then you reach to the conclusion for selecting the animal. These are the references we have used. There are so many other references. This is the important references we have used. A big thanks to all of you